Hi guys! Okay, so today we are doing a location shoot here. I just got out of work, and since I need to wait for my boyfriend to get out of work, who gets out 2 hours later than I do, and then immediately afterward I'm heading to my team's monthly success event, this was the only time I had to shoot a video. So you may notice that the screen is moving a little bit, and that's because my laptop is currently balancing between my fabulous self and the steering wheel. So it's going to move every time I breathe or talk, and I'm really sorry. But you are having a spectacular view of part of the inside of my Jeep right now. And I drove a block away from my work parking lot so that I'm sitting in a Dunkin' Donuts parking lot and stealing their Wi-Fi. Even though it's not really stealing, it's free, but... So yeah, that's Dunkin' Donuts in the background. Just ignore any random people that walk on the screen. And we're just going to cross our fingers and hope that the empty car next to me does not have anybody sitting in it, because they're probably going to give me a really weird look. Okay, so for today's video, I got a lot of suggestions. I had 2 people that suggested organization. And for a couple reasons. One of the reasons mentioned was working full-time as well as doing Tastefully Simple on top of that. I decided not to cover that this video because after that was mentioned, there were notes shared from the organization session at Palooza. So I didn't know if you guys would still want my tips on that. If that is still something you want to see, please comment below and let me know. There were also suggestions for focus, written client care and follow-up, and building a client case that repeats parties. So if you have any different suggestions, as I said, please comment below. What I decided to go with today is building a client base that repeats parties, because I feel like this is important with all of the incentives and everything, the challenges that we have going on right now and going into the Christmas season. You really need to have a full calendar. So I do have a few tips in order to make this a little easier for you. Number 1 is something that our other admin, Hilda Christy Moss, is famous for, and that is always, always, always rebook your host. Absolutely. There is no reason, unless you are having a party with an incredibly unreasonable person, that your host is not going to want to rebook with you. And yes, it may not be in 30 days, unless you have a really enthusiastic hostess or host, but you should still be able to rebook them and say, well, I'll pencil you in for the next change of season, maybe the next double dip week when we have the fall, winter, and spring, summer catalogs. And they'll say, okay, and then just call them a month ahead of time, ask them if that day still works for them, because they're not going to know what they're going to be doing in 6 months. Nobody does. But you can still pencil them in for something that they think is going to work, and then just change it. Just call them as your parties start booking up for that month or that week, whatever, and say, hey, I'm booking other parties around your party. If you want a different date and time, I'd like to know so I can give you your preferred time, or however you want to word it. So always rebook your host. That's important. The other tip I want to share is host coaching, because you're more apt to rebook your host if she is comfortable, she or he, sorry, if they know what they're doing, and if they're having fun. So if you make it simple and easy for them and get them a great amount of rewards because you've been working with them, it's going to be easier to rebook them, and they're going to talk it up at their party, and it's going to make it a lot easier for you to book other parties from their party. So always focus on your host coaching. If you want more details about that, just comment and ask me, and I'll give you some of my personal tips from host coaching and some I've heard from other people as well. Another important tip to do is please always play a booking game. I don't care which one it is. Different people like different ones. Some people like the envelope game. Some people like the dice game. Some people are using the party beads. I love the party beads. That's my personal favorite. Something else may work better for you. It's all a matter of what you want to do. And there are several more, I'm sure, that I am just not familiar with. And I always play the ticket game as well, which is more of a sponsoring game, but it gets them engaged and it brings out their competitive side, which I find does help a lot when it comes to keeping them interested. I tend to play it about halfway through the catalog, so once I see that centerfold, I say, hey ladies, we're going to take a break and play a game, and they get excited. So that may not help to have a client base that repeats parties, but it is going to help to have a fun party, which is going to make them want to party. So in a way it helps. And the last tip that I wrote down is to just have fun. I mean, if you're up there and you look like this and you're like, well, you should eat beer bread because I said so, la 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 la, they're not going to want to eat beer bread. They're going to want to throw you out of the house so that they can talk about you as soon as you're gone and about what a horrible party it was. You don't want to be that consultant. Don't do that. Smile, have fun. Even if you're having a crappy day, just drop it. As soon as you are in your host's door, you are happy. You're having an awesome day. Remember what Mark said from Palooza. I'm great. And even if you're not great, you're still grateful. And that's important. So make sure your host thinks, at the very least, that you're having a good day and that you're happy to be there. Because if you don't seem happy to be there, they're not going to invite you back. And that's not something you want to happen when you're building up your client base. So those are all the tips I have for that for now. If you want more or you want something else, let me know. And that is it for my Dunkin' Donuts video. So I hope you enjoyed it, guys. Thanks. I'll be back next week.